What on earth is that? Good things come in small packages, right? Well, we're going to put that theory to the test today with this bonkers little thing, the Hoonigrom 300. In this video, we'll find out exactly what this thing is, we'll meet the man that dreamed it up, and of course, we'll see and hear it in action as well. Over the past 10 years, the Honda MSX125, aka the Grom, has become a pretty iconic bike for Honda. It's a pocket-sized 125 4-stroke with a whopping 10 horsepower, and it's aimed at a younger city-based rider. I believe the Grom even won the Bike of the Year award from Motorcycle USA when it first hit the market back in 2014. But if you've watched a 999 laser video before, you'll know that the Honda Grom isn't our usual cup of tea. We typically like things a little more unique and preferably 2-stroke powered. So you've probably worked out what I have before me today isn't any ordinary Honda Grom. This is James Stone, the man that dreamed up and created the Hoonigrom. He runs the Stone Automotive YouTube channel, which features lots of cool 2- and 4-wheeled content. So I'm here with James Stone, the man that has created this little weapon behind us here. James, tell us what we're actually looking at. What is the motor? What is the chassis? What have you created here?
Okay, so a brief rundown without boring you. It's a Honda Grom, 10 horsepower 4-stroke as standard, and we've shoehorned a KTM EXC 300 2-stroke that should be at the factory around 50 horsepower. So certainly makes for a wild experience on a monkey bike.
Yeah. So my next question is, why? Why did you do this?
As someone who's big in the YouTube game will know, you're always trying to create new content, and I wanted to challenge myself, and ultimately it's just a bonkers build, and I really hope that by building something like this I could test myself to the limit, and when you're out and about just have something so crazy that it would draw attention and strike a conversation with any true petrol head.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, but my next question is, what did it take to make this happen? What was the process?
It's more straightforward looking back on it now, but at the time when you're building it, the nature of a Grom frame is just a hard back that runs through it, and you've got your carburetor on the 2-stroke that's in the way. I did have some help from a friend called Andy who turned some cardboard cutout mounts into alley, and it actually fitted pretty well. We couldn't use the electric start bike because we knew that would be in the way, and again I can send you some images through to overlay of how tight it is in there. But essentially once we'd fabricated a couple of straight 5mm mounts, it did bolt in and line up pretty well once we'd done the dimensions. Easier than I anticipated, to be honest with you.
How long did it take overall, and what was the hardest part of the process?
Yeah, the build. So it started, I think it was in the January year before last, and we had the engine in it running and riding in about 3 months. Now it isn't my full-time job, so it was just something I was tinkering with around the outside of every other commitment that I have. The biggest challenge we had was getting the standard exhaust to fit, because as you can see from where the forks come down, on the EXC you've got loads of room, but on the Grom you don't unfortunately have that space in front of the engine to put an expansion pipe. And what we essentially needed to do was modify the original one, cut it back. Being a 2-stroke, it really affected the performance, and that's where Mark Dent at Performance Fabrications built that absolute work of art.
It's so nice, yeah.
Yeah, fits in there. But the exhaust was probably the hardest part, and we did have to wait 14 months for that to be built. But good things come to those who wait, and yeah, it speaks for itself I think now and how it looks. I would say if I'd have had the exhaust, I'd have had that done in 3.5 months, but with the exhaust it's probably been 1.5 years, 2 years, yeah, to where we are now with setting it up, getting it running right. So yeah, it's been a couple of years really when I think back on it.
So you got it running right, and then you had to tinker with a couple of things to get it to perform like you wanted to, right?
Exactly, because like I say, many I'm sure watch this channel will know with 2-strokes, if you get the expansion chamber wrong, it really hammers the performance, and to get it to clear that front wheel we had to chop it, bend it back. I'm not a welder fabricator. There's some clips of me and my friend Spence who built it. It wasn't the prettiest thing, but it allowed us to check that, one, the engine wasn't going to fall out, and two, that it actually made sense to do it, because if it was unrideable, we wouldn't be able to continue with the project. But it actually, yeah, it seemed to come together quite well, thankfully.
Now that it's all sorted and it's running like you wanted it to, what is it like to ride out on the road? I know you've taken it to some kart tracks as well. What is the experience of riding the Hoonigrom? Explain it to the people watching.
I mean, you do have to experience. Obviously, I'm not going to pass the keys to everyone to try it. But what I will say, given the short wheelbase, 12-inch wheels, 45, 50 horsepower, it feels twice as fast as it should be. So the excitement level is bonkers. It's geared pretty high. We've had 96 out of it, and it was still going. It was me that decided that was enough. We weren't going to go any further. But what I will say is I've owned big bikes and I've owned small bikes and very capable track bikes. But this, as I've said, is just the most fun. You can get on it. I don't even think you'd have to be major experienced to ride it, as long as you respect the power valve. It's just a laugh. These should have come from factory with 20, 30 horsepower and they would have been awesome. The 10 horsepower just wasn't enough for them, especially when you're a bit of a 95 kilo chunk. But yeah, it's wicked fun, it's crazy, and if you commit to full throttle on the power valve, even with the taller gearing, first, second, third, even fourth, it'll just pick the front wheel up if you can get the traction.
So it's enough to get the heart pumping?
Yeah, it puts hairs on your chest, put it that way. So it's certainly a wild experience.
And what are the looks that you get when you pull up to a set of lights and matey on his R1 or whatever looks over at you and thinks, oh, what's that? And then he hears you rev it. What happens?
Well, truth be told, we haven't done a lot of that actual riding yet, because we only just got the exhaust back. We've been setting up the fueling on the carb. What I will say is, in national speed limits, this will overtake. So if you come past someone's window and their head height is at your, it's a bizarre look to see a fully grown man on a monkey bike overtaking you.
Past you.
I'm hoping this year we'll be out and about at the local cafes in the areas and stuff. And
some bike meets and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to get some looks, going to get some attention at those things, right?
Exactly. And when you're out at the meets, people always look at it, go, oh, nice little Grom, and then they see the pipe and they go, hang on a second.
Yeah, and then they see that cover and they're like, what's going on here?
So yeah, it's a bonkers thing, it really is.
So we're about to see it in action, right?
We are. It is -2 this morning, as hopefully you might be able to see the frost on the ground. We've got Michelin City Grip tyres, so it's not going to be
optimal conditions.
Yeah, it's not going to be its grounds, but I'm going to give Max some footage of it when we had it out in the dry, which I think will be a bit more suitable. But
we'll experience it, but then we'll have that footage as well to show it in all its glory. So let's do it. As James mentioned, the KTM 300 motor used here is an older model. He needed to use a non-e-start version if he had any chance of squeezing it into the little Grom. So the motor is actually from 2002, and that of course means that he's still needing to mix oil with the fuel. I'm not sure exactly what premix James has been using so far, but I of course would recommend that he uses MX9 from our awesome channel sponsors, Putoline. But he doesn't just have to take my word for it. All James needs to do is head to the Putoline website, type in his bike model into the search bar and select the correct model year, and Putoline will let him know exactly what oil and lubricants he needs for his Hoonigrom. Putoline are a huge supporter of what we do here at 999 Laser, and we wouldn't be able to make these videos without their help. So be sure to check them out next time you need to stock up on essentials. I'll leave some links in the description down below. Now, let's see this thing in action. And be sure to stay tuned until the very end of the video to hear what bonkers plan James has for the Hoonigrom. cool and unique builds like this one. So if you've got something that you think we should feature, please do drop me a message on Instagram at 999laser. So James, what is next for the Hoonigrom? What's the plan for it?
So essentially at the moment it's just in the factory white colour. I do want to get it done in the Hoonigrom colour scheme so it's suitably fitting for the engine and the powertrain. And then we've got to go on to the serious stuff. It's going to need better suspension. I know there's a lot of brands that do the uprated front and rear dampers, shocks. I want to put some hell brakes on it. If any of you have seen in the comments from the R1, it's just, they're incredible, the stuff they produce. So I want to do that, and then I really want to try and get it around the Nürburgring. I don't know what the official lap time is for a Grom around the Nürburgring, but I'd like to think with that powerhouse, it's got to be up there with one of the quickest bridge to gantry times.
Yeah, so you've obviously driven there before, ridden there before?
Ridden and driven the Nürburgring a few times. By no means a pro, but yeah, a lot of fun.
So that sounds like an exciting project. That's coming to your channel next year, is it the plan, I guess?
Yeah, this year.
This year. We're in 2025 now, aren't we?
Yeah, easy to forget. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be going to the ring hopefully on this, not riding it, they'll put it in a trailer. And other projects like the RS125 race replica I've built. I've got a few car bits on the channel, but your viewers I'm sure are more interested in the two-wheel two-stroke. Yeah,
be sure if you're interested to see more videos on this, check out James's channel. I'll leave a link in the description below. You've got some cool videos on this, but that Nürburg project, I'm looking forward to that one. James, thanks so much for having us along today and showing us your bike.
Thanks for coming down, Max, appreciate it.